during this tough situation. So let's take a deep breath and start our art. I hope all the kids are ready with your parents. Kavya and Ovia here, my kids. Okay, it's recording. So, hi. So I have my kids here with me to do art. So I hope everybody is ready with pencil, eraser. We need paper and oil pastels is best. If you don't have oil pastels at home, crayons or color pencil is fine. And you also need the ruler. I don't know if you could see it clearly. Okay. Hi, is everybody seeing it clearly? Okay, let's go ahead and start. We are going to do 2 birds today. So we need a ruler first, and let's measure the bird here. There are going to be 2 birds. So make room for 1 bird on your right side and 1 for the left side. So let's mark the top portion. Let's keep a dot there, and let's do around probably a 16 centimeter bird. So let's have a dot at the bottom as well. So the head is going to be a little down the first initial dot. I'm using the oil pastel just to make it clear, but you all start with a pencil so that it's easier to erase even if you make any mistakes. So I'm going to mark like 3 centimeters on the left and 3 centimeters on the right, just below the top dot. And we are going to make a curve. We are joining the dots to make a curve for the head. Yeah, we're making a curve for the head, like that. Are we good with that? Yeah, make sure you have some room on the right side so that another bird is drawn here. And then from the bottom of the curve, so I'm going to draw a wing, a little curvy wing. Probably let's measure it as like 5 centimeters down. I'm going to make a curve like that. And I'm going to have like a U for a wing. So are we all good with that? On the other side, let's make another wing of the same size. This time this wing is going to be little thinner on the side. Are you okay with that, girls? Yeah, okay. I hope you're still using the pencil and not the pastels yet. I'm using the pastel just to show a darker, so that it's clear for everybody. Go ahead and start with your pencil. And at the bottom, let's measure 5 centimeters from the top of the wing till the bottom. So let's mark it here, and we are going to make a curve for the body. So I'm going to join one side here, and I'm going to join the other side like a U, a big curvy U. Make sure it's smooth. Also, we have the initial dot here. Remember, I can wait until you're done. Are you done? Make sure the U is a smooth curve. Do you have a smooth U? And we all have a dot at the very bottom. So we are going to make the tail for the bird. So it's going to start right at the bottom like that. And we are going to have a line in the center. And there is going to be another part of the tail. This one is going to be a little shorter than the first one. Let me know if anybody has any trouble drawing this. And we're going to make a tiny bit of nails for the birds here. So someone wants to wait for a second. Okay, I'll wait until you're done and I can start reminding. So we need pencil and eraser to draw an outline for the bird. We are making 2 birds today. And shall we go ahead? There's going to be 2 little tiny toes at the bottom, like that. And there's going to be another pair of toes. Got it? Okay. So after this, we have an overall outline for the bird. We are going to go ahead and do the details of the face. So there's going to be cute eyes for the bird. And there's going to be a teeny tiny triangle nose. So if you're done with this, can you show that feet again? Yeah, the feet is going to be just two tiny ovals. Yeah, the tail. And let's do a branch here. So that's going to be two birds, remember? So let's do a branch at the bottom of the bird. And if you're done with this, let's start the other bird. The other bird can be tiny, maybe a baby bird. Let's measure the bird. Maybe let's do 7 centimeters above the branch and 4 centimeters at the bottom. Let's keep a measurement there. So it's going to be a tiny little baby bird. The same way we are going to make a curve for the head. Since it's little tinier than the first one, let's do 3 centimeters on each side. And join the dots to make a curve. Let's extend the one side of the head a little bit longer than the right side. And make a little bulge. This is a fluffy tiny bird. We are going to make a little bulge which joins on the other side. Make sure the curve is smooth. And we're going to make a tiny feather at the right, like that. And do a little curve here and join the feather. And there's going to be the bottom part of the feather. Like tiny little nails for the feather. And we are going to do the tail like the previous bird. So it's going to come below the branch. Let's say it's going to come below like that. And we are doing the same thing like the previous one. And the next one is going to be a little shorter than the first one, the other part of the tail. Make sure the tail is exactly at the bottom of the body and not too far or not too thin. It's just exactly right below the baby bird's body. Now for the face. So let's do the eyes. The baby has its eyes closed. And there's going to be this teeny tiny nose. We're done with the drawing now. Anybody have any questions regarding this? I can answer the questions if you have any before we start with the coloring. Anyone have any questions? Okay. So I'm going to use the oil pastels, but if you don't have oil pastels at home, crayons or color pencils are okay. I like the oil pastels best because the blending is good and the coloring effect is better than any of the crayons or color pencils. But I understand that if you can go out and get new stuffs, we can use whatever stuffs we have at home. For the oil pastels, so I want to make sure there are some rules for the oil pastels for it to blend well together. We always start with a darker color and then go with the lighter colors. So you see the coloring wheel here. So this is what I made to show it to everybody. So here on the coloring wheel, we see the colors next to each other. It's always good to blend. It's always good to blend colors that are in the coloring wheel, which is beside each other, the colors next to each other, rather than mixing something from here to over there or a complete contrast color. Rather than that, we get a best result if we mix colors that are next to each other in the coloring wheel. So if we remember that, we can create a good artwork. Yeah, Dia, where is the tree? There's no tree here. It's just a branch where the birds are sitting. So I don't know what other tree you're asking about. Okay, so we are going to start blending with the colors that you see in the coloring wheel here. Hi Adit, there's no tree here, there's only a branch where the two birds are sitting next to each other. Okay? And yeah, while holding the oil pastel, so I'm going to start with orange. So you can be creative in using the colors, but before that I would like to explain the technique of how we choose the blending technique and how we choose the colors. So when you're holding the oil pastels, you shouldn't be holding it like a pencil, like a pointy edge, because you feel like you have created scratchy lines, and there might be white spaces in between the lines. So to avoid that, what we are going to do is we are going to hold the pastel like you're holding a knife, like a very firm grip. It has to be a firm grip, and we are not going to use it like a pencil. It's going to be a firm grip, like you hold the knife, and you need to give a certain amount of pressure to create like a blended line. If you see here, so I'm going to choose orange and yellow for the head of this bird. You can be creative, you can use any of the colors, but make sure you choose the colors that are next to the coloring wheel. You can do orange and red, light blue or darker blue, or light green and dark green, or yeah, whatever color that's next to each other. Instead of combining two dark colors, it's best to have one lighter and one darker color, if you see in the coloring wheel here. Or you're supposed to have a ruler. We had the ruler just to make the measurement to do the baby bird, but after this we don't need the ruler. So I'm going to choose my the bird's head to be orange and yellow. So make sure you're holding it like a knife and not like a pencil. So you need to give a little pressure in coloring the head, like that. So if you see here, I'm making sure there is no white spaces in the middle. So this is how we want to create the effect. Can we use our color choice like pink? Yeah, you can use pink. Just make sure you do like a light pink or darker pink, or pink or red, and something like that, and not like a pink or green. It won't be a better choice. So the next color I'm going to do is yellow. So if you're choosing blue, make sure you're doing lighter blue, dark blue and lighter blue, okay? So when I'm going to blend the next color with the darker color, I want to make sure, I want to go one coat on top of the darker color so that it blends with the first color. So this is how you want to create the head. So I want to give a different color for the wing and for the body or tail. So for now I'm going to use I'm just going to paint the color the head here. Aarti, are you doing light or dark on top of the bird? Always choose a darker color when choosing the pastel work, so that it's easier to blend with each other. So when I chose the lighter color, you need to go on top of the darker color a little bit so that it blends well. You need to give a certain amount of pressure just to create that blended look. Uh, Geeta, can you tell me what from the first? So after you drew the birds, we did a darker color first and then we are blending with a lighter color. So I chose orange first, which is a darker color, and then I chose yellow, which is a lighter color. So that's what I'm doing here. If you're choosing a different color, please follow the color wheel here and choose some color which is next to each other and not completely contrast color, just to do a better artwork. So in case if your pastel has some other color mixed on the top, you can just wipe that with tissue paper and then it will be clean again. So don't worry about getting some other color on top of the other one. I have crayons, how can I blend? Adit, do the same thing like the pastel. Crayons won't blend like pastels though, but you can try to do the same coloring. It won't blend well like pastels. So I just colored the head here. So I'm applying a little pressure to the head. As you go at the bottom, you might want to lighten up the pressure a little bit just to blend with the other colors. So when you start, there is a lot of pressure, but when you come down, you might want to lighten that a little bit. Because I want to mix another color for the body. So I'm just doing more of my blending. So you need to use a lighter color on top of the darker color so that it blends well. Okay. Now my body is going to be light green and dark green. Make sure when you choose the colors, it's next to each other in the color wheel. So I'm going to blend this yellow with lighter green. So if you have chosen some other color on top, you can go with whatever colors you like. Just follow the color wheel while choosing the colors. Again, I'm applying a little pressure. Do we blend it with a tissue paper? You can blend with a tissue paper if you want. So I'm trying to just blend it with my pastels, because when you apply a lot of pressure, it automatically blends with each other. Yeah.
Can we do yellow and light green?
Yeah, you can.
Well, what should go on the top? Yellow or light green?
You can do yellow. Okay. Can we use paint to color? You can use paint to color, Deepthi. But the techniques I'm teaching here is with oil pastels. If you want to blend it with paint, that's fine too. So I'm trying to do light green here. So I applied a lot of pressure. And I'm doing a darker green at the bottom. But to blend with each other, I need to use a light green on top of the dark green so that it blends well. So always blend with a lighter color in the same direction. If you're going top to bottom, use the same direction to blend with each other. So now it's blended well. Apply the same kind of pressure while blending. Not too much pressure and it will break. Just squish the pastels on top of the paper. So I might want to blend the middle part here with yellow and green together. You can also use white to create a shiny effect after you're blending the light color and dark color. You can also use white at the end. So I have a colorful body for the bird here. So I'm going to use a little bit of white to make it light here. You can do the same. White is also used for a good blending. Okay. So you can choose your own color for the wing. I'm going to use orange and white. Always choose the darker color first and then you can blend them with a lighter color. So I'm going to do the orange at the bottom of the wing. When you're blending, always do the top to bottom direction. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to use white. When you're using white on top of the orange, it automatically creates a lighter color of whatever color you chose. So when you're doing this, when you're filling white on top of orange, it created lighter orange. It blended automatically right there. And for the tail, I want to go with lighter blue and darker blue. You can choose your own color. Make sure you're choosing something next to each other in the color wheel. So always go with the darker color first. So I'm going to start with the darker color. A little pressure when I'm drawing at the top. As you go down, lighten the pressure there so that it blends with the bottom color. So I chose dark blue at the top, and when you're blending, make sure you're going one layer on top of the dark blue, and that's when it gets blended in the middle. So oil pastels is all about blending, so we need to color on top of the darker color. So now it's blended well. Now for the tiny details. You might need a pointy tip for this to do this. I want to color my toes with red, tiny bit of red for the toenails. Make sure you're doing shorter strokes and not long strokes to avoid the white spaces in between. And there is this top feather nails, so I'm choosing blue for it. Okay, what pastel brand are you using for a pencil effect? There's no pencil effect here. I'm using, any oil pastel should be fine. I don't know what brand is it. This is what I'm using here. It just says oil pastels. I think any oil pastel should be fine for our practice and for small drawings. And let's go to the next bird if you're done with the first one.
What about the eyes and beak?
Yeah, I left the eyes and the beak. Yeah. So let's do the beak now. I want to color my eyes black. Always keep the black for the last because you don't want to smudge it with your hand or fingers. Oil pastels tend to get smudged very easily, so you need to keep your hands and fingers away from the oil pastels when you're drawing. Thank you. We love your work. It's so nice while we are at home to enjoy this. Can you post a picture when you're all completed up close? Yeah, sure, Mandy. I'll post a picture after I'm done with this. So just make sure you're not smudging the bird while painting. That's why we are holding it like a knife and we are not keeping our hands or fingers on top of the colors. How about China pastels? Yeah, any pastel should work, Geeta. There shouldn't be any problem. It all works the same. So let's go ahead and do the next bird. I want to do my bird's head with probably pink and red.
I don't have pink.
Yeah, you can choose your own colors.
I want
though.
pink.
Okay.
I want pink.
Or you can do
Oh, yeah.
light purple and dark purple. Yeah.
Pink. I want pink. Okay, pink.
So, okay, I'll give you after this. Alright. So I want to choose a darker color. Thank you for doing this. Is it possible to have one basic class where kids at age of 4 to 5 can follow? Pastels are very basic, Archana, so I think they will get that in practice when they start following 2 to 3 classes, they should be fine after that. So the first class is okay, this is only their first class, but after 2 to 3 classes, they will get a hang of how to use oil pastels and how to do the blending. Okay, so I'm going to start with darker red here, a little pressure on the top, And I want to blend it with pink.
I like pink.
So when I'm doing that, go lighter at the bottom.
Can I have pink?
Yeah. So you want to go on top of the red so that two colors blend well. We need to blend them well without any white spaces in the between. So have shorter strokes to do that, and do it in the same direction. You don't want to smudge them with your fingers.
Pink. Can I have pink?
And I want to go with a different color for the body. So I'm using yellow. Make sure you're going on top of the pink a little bit. With a little pressure on top. Okay. So you might want to blend it with a darker color at the bottom. Adit, mess up on my big bird in the end. Can you show me how to do the big bird again? Yeah, Adit, this video will be available in my page after the live, so you can watch any number of times and see how the big bird is made. Okay. So I'm doing a darker color at the bottom, and I want to blend it with the lighter color in the middle. So I'm going on top of the orange here to blend them. So you can also use a little bit of white for blending. Yeah.
Can pink and yellow go together?
Yes. Okay, I want to use a little bit of white. It's darker color brown. The darker color is orange, that's what I have used here. So to blend them, I'm using a lighter color like yellow and white for them to blend. You can go on top of the orange for them to blend. Now the body is done. So I'm going to do my wing here. Can you give me that purple, dark purple? Yeah, thanks. So I'm going to do a dark purple wing blended with white so that it becomes lighter purple. So always use the darker color before doing the lighter one, and blend on top of the darker color. We are done with the blending here. I'm also doing the tail now with the same combination of dark color at the top, a purple one, and blended with white so that it becomes lighter purple. Okay. Thank you, Geeta. And what else is remaining here is the tiny fingers of the bird's feather here, and there is also tiny toes at the bottom. Teeny tiny toes at the bottom. We still have the nose here. Choose some darker color for the nose. Because if you have a lighter colored body, choose a darker, teeny tiny cute nose. The eyes are remaining. We can do the eyes at the last because it's going to be black and we don't want to mess up our drawing by giving black in the beginning. Are we doing a background? No, Aarti, we are not doing a background today. If we would have chosen a background, it should have been done initially, because after we draw the main birds, if we do the background again, it will mess up the main birds here. So we always do the background initially and then do the main pictures. So today we don't have a background here. So I'm just leaving it white. Let's do the branch with brown. If you want a little shade in your branch, you can use a little bit of white for the glow in the branch. If you want to choose just one single color, that's fine too. Make sure you're not going inside the bird's legs or bird's tail. Be very sure that you're doing slowly near the corners. You don't want to go outside the branch. Very careful when doing the corners. How do you blend them thoroughly? So when you have a darker color and a lighter color, you might want to do the lighter color on top of the darker color so that it blends well. So for example, I've done a darker color, the branch, like brown branch. So I'm going to use a peach color and then do a little bit of blending on top of the darker color. When you go on top of the dark color, it gets blended. Also, it should be on the same direction, Pratima. So I gave a little highlight to my branch using a lighter peach. So all we have now is the eyes. So let's do a black eye. Be very careful when you're using black. you don't want to mess up with anything. Make sure your hands are off from the drawing. You don't want to smudge it. I'm giving black for the eyes. Like that. Since it's a tiny detail, be very careful with that. You don't want to go outside the lines. What is your drawing? We are drawing two birds with oil pastels, Geeta. And the next eye is going to be like eyes closed bird. So if you would like, you can do an outline with brown or something. Otherwise, you're still good to go with just the colorful bird. I can show that to you closer. Okay, here. So when you're doing the blending, make sure the lighter color is on top of the darker color so that it's blended well. Can I draw lashes? So if you're doing lashes with black, be very careful. It tends to get smudged very easily. You might want to do very tiny lashes. Pastels are broad. They have broad ends, see? So eyelashes might be tricky. So if you if you're using color pencil, I think that's pretty much easy to do the lashes. If you're doing the pastels with black, you need to be very careful when doing the lashes here. So you can do your artistic signature at the bottom and finish the drawing. Let's see what Kavya and Ovia have. Okay. Good job. So that's Ovia's. I would be happy if you guys post your finished pictures, and if you also have any questions, you can post in the comments, and I'll answer as much as possible after the live is over. This video will be available even after the live in my page, so please post your finished drawings, and I would like to see everybody's drawings. And your teaching is awesome. Thank you, Archana. So we are going to meet next Monday at 4 p.m. I didn't do the painting class because a lot of people are not having paint, may not have paints or brushes, and it's difficult at this time to go out and purchase everything. And pastels is something many people have, also crayons or color pencils too. So if you want to do a painting class, if you can comment it below, and if a lot of people have paints at home, the brushes, palettes and everything, we can do a painting class as well. So post your pictures. I would like to see all your pictures, and see you on Monday at 4 p.m. Bye.